volunteer to talk. So I'll hand this over to Derek to get things started. Hello everyone. You ever get that feeling where you're really looking forward to something? Very excited about a place or an event that you're going to attend, but afterwards it felt like a bit of a letdown, a waste of time, maybe a waste of money. I get that every time I go to see a superhero movie. And I see it time and time again with clients coming to their websites up. And the reason that happens is the process. You start off keen and eager, really want to do something positive for the business with the website. But by the end, it's turned into a trudge, a chore, and relationships are broken down. Now, if you're at my last talk, I will talk about the ingredients of successful web design in 2015. What I didn't talk about, and a lot of people asked me about afterwards, was the recipe. How do we mix those ingredients together? So that's what I'm going to talk about today. And one thing I'm going to emphasize throughout the whole talk is your role as a client in our web design process. It's vitally important. If we don't explain your role or you don't fulfill it, then the whole thing turns to shit. So this is your role. Write this down. Follow down yellow notebooks. You need to write this down. This is the most important thing that you'll hear today. Your role as a client is to present us with problems, to focus on the business objectives of your site, and to advocate for your users. And we'll come up again. I'll move on. So that's your role. I'm going to talk about it in a lot more detail later on and throughout the talk. So the process itself, we start off with kickoff meetings. Sometimes it's one meeting, sometimes it's a series of meetings. But what we do at these meetings is exactly what this website is for and what it's supposed to do. At the kickoff meetings, this is the first time that you, as a client, will have an opportunity to talk to the people who really understand the web, who understand the nature of the web as a medium, and who know exactly what they're walking into when you get a website done. So kickoff meetings are in 3 phases. We do analysis, structure, and components. Analysis is where we ask in-depth questions about your organization, your business, your customers, and the market that you operate in. Our sort of starting template is 35 questions. We adapt that depending on who we're talking to or what sort of website's getting built. But if you want to have a think about the sort of things that we'll ask you during those analysis, the analysis phase, kickoff meetings, is this sort of thing. The problems and weaknesses, not just with your current website, but in your business as a whole. What you want the website to do, what you want people to do when they get to your website, the market you operate in, and your position within it, and how you want people to feel about you, your company, your brand. In essence, what we're doing here is trying to get answers to those 3 questions: problems, business objectives, and user objectives. And this here is an actual example that from a client we worked with recently. After we did the analysis phase of the kickoff meetings, we documented a list of problems, business objectives, and user objectives, and agreed upon them before moving on. And this gives us a focus on what to do with the website. So that's the analysis phase. Then structure. This is where we talk about how the information that we want people to find and read, and the tasks that we want them to complete is presented to them. The deliverable at the end of this is a sitemap. What we talk about during this phase is the main message of the website. The main sections are top-level pages and subsections of those pages. Expected user flows. How are people going to get from a landing page to a conversion on your website? We go through all of that. The page hierarchy and the website as a holistic system. So say the deliverable is a sitemap. If this isn't a real one, but if this was a real one, the green would be top level pages, home, about, product, services, contact, that sort of thing. The purple would be the sub-pages, subsections of those main content areas, and that, what colour is that? I'm a parent, so I've seen that colour in nappies before, but whatever colour that is, that's your secondary navigation stuff like law, careers, terms and conditions, privacy policy, that sort of thing. So then we move on to the components. So far we've delivered a agreed list of problems, business objectives, user objectives, and a site map. And now we look at each page individually. So the sort of thing we look at is the page features. What's going to be on each page? We rank them by importance. And this forces us to think very, very carefully about what should be on each page of the website and how important it is in relation to everything else on that page. We recently launched the website for Linus Food Service. And this is the exercise we did. It was a post-it-note exercise. We just write down every single component of the page, and we ask the client to rank them in order of importance. No two things are allowed to go side by side. It must be a single column. And one of the very pleasant side effects of this actually is that nobody has a carousel on the website after this. You know those, sometimes you know that on a website, a set of images at the top of the fade in and out or the slide into the side or whatever. Don't put those on the website, those things are terrible. But if you think about it, I'm going to go off and on here. If you think about what a carousel is, it's you saying, here are the four most important things about my business. I'm only going to make sure that I'm only going to put them on the website for 25% of the time each. Now, if you're a user and you come to the website with a carousel, say you want to buy a product, you arrive on the home page, there's a carousel there. You find the product category that you want to click on. You're just about to click on it. You don't stop and go, wait, I'll watch this. 5 seconds go by. Another 5 seconds. And then you click on the thing you want. They're a waste of space. Nobody sees past the first 1 or 2. They don't watch them. As well as that, they slow down your website. If you're at the last stop, you would have heard me saying that fast websites make more money. The amount of code note that goes into making these things work isn't worth it at all. And the last thing about carousels, before I get back to what I was supposed to be talking about, there's a phenomenon called banner blindness, where people who've been using the web for years, which is all of us, have unconsciously learned to ignore adverts. And anything that looks like an advert, we unconsciously ignore it. So although this thing is front and center, a lot of people who come to your website ignore it straight away without even thinking about it. So don't use carousels, please. Anyway, once we've done this, then they are vertical. Then we move on to this. We say you've got as much room as you want. Where do the things go now? So as you can see here, we're starting to talk more about groups and sections rather than just individual components. And you can also see a design starting. That's like a mobile design, that's like a desktop design. So it's evolving from what you tell us and what you put up in the post-its and what you put on. And that's the end of the kickoff meetings. The deliverable that we provide to you after that is a functional specification. It's a documented record of everything that we agreed during the kickoff meetings, describes every feature, and one of the main aspects of the functional specification is that it locks down what's going to happen. You know and we know exactly what we're going to do on that website. So if you come to us later on down the line and say, I would like this feature put onto the website, you and us both know that what we're going to say is, no problem, let's talk it through, if we don't have time and watch it. And you're prepared for that because of the functional specification. It also protects you from us over-promising. So that's kickoff meetings. Then we move on to wireframes now. I'm putting these in as sort of distinct steps, but everything is an evolutionary process. The website evolves from those first post-it note designs So wireframes are the next sort of visual clues that verify the relationship between the pages and the content that we talked about earlier. They're deliberately there and colourless so that nobody's aesthetic tastes influence what they think of the wireframes. Here's some examples. This one is that was all we needed was this sketch in the designer's notebook to verify our understanding of what was agreed during kickoff. Sometimes we don't share the wireframes with the client, by the way, sometimes we don't need to. It depends on the project and the personalities involved. This is how the Linus homepage started out. You see just a very rough sketch based on what's on that board, on the post-its, and that evolved into this. This is part of it. It's not the whole wireframe. And this was printed out in A3. Thomas, our designer, went up to Korea, stuck all the wireframes up on the whiteboard and talked them through with the client, just to make sure that our understanding of what was agreed to kick off had translated properly. And this one here is a wireframe that actually worked as a website. All the links in this website. Well, you can navigate to other websites, just look to other wireframes, just load it as normal in your browser and work it that way. And the reason for that was because there were a few gaps left in our understanding of what was required here. So we actually did this and then put it through around the user testing. And I'm going to show you some user testing shortly. So if we do show you the wireframes or work through the wireframes with you, always remember, when you're looking at it, does this solve my problems? Does this help me achieve the objectives that I've set for this website? And will users be able to use this to do what I want them to do? Then the next stage in the evolution of the website is prototype. This is where we add typography, colors, interaction design, usability, user experience design, and visual design that starts to look like a website. And during prototyping, we do one thing that means we can call this prototype and not web design, and that's user testing. See, web design has much more in common with product design or industrial design than it does with graphic design. And we prototype, we build a rough model that we improve through testing, iterating and improving. And the thing about a prototype is it's not meant to be text. It's meant to be learned from and built upon and built apart. And this is where user testing comes in. In terms of websites, it is user testing that gives us the feedback from how to improve the prototype. So very, very powerful tool. So I'm just going to show you a quick video of some user testing going on. Let's start. Let's see. Let me see the last there. The audience are sorry. So we have people to see users with both the wireframes and the actual design. Sorry. Can't hear the audience. So what the tester is asking the test subjects to do here is define. We said, you're a teacher in a school, you're dealing with a child with autism who is visually under-responsive. Sensory input is a huge issue for children with autism. So this particular website that we're designing is all about sensory input for autistic children. The test subject is asked to find, the test subject to find visually unresponsive. So hopefully, Okay, so this subject has a bit of strategies according to sense. We've got the visual, and eventually how we are the responsive.
Strategies and they follow visually.
So this guy is the strategy according to sense of knowledge, and then the general sensory strategies for all. That was wrong.
The general sensory strategies.
We'll use the search box. That's okay. This one does say strategies and I'll leave that there. But I'll call it this there anyway. Okay, so what you saw there was in that original design that looked really good and was absolutely in line with what we'd discussed at kickoff, and was using the content they'd given us and the graphics that they'd given us, that there were some problems. And those are problems that we would never ever have known without conducting this user testing. We would have never known that that was a problem. Users would have come to the thousands of visitors that visit that site every month, would have been coming to the site and experiencing those problems, not able to find the content that they wanted, not able to navigate the site the way that they thought they should be able to. So that was all fixed during design. You'll see how that was done whenever that site was still in development. And again, when you're looking at the user testing videos, when you're looking at the prototype, always assess it in terms of your role as a client. Does this design solve the problems you set? Does it help you achieve your business objectives? Will users be able to use it properly? And we've completed the user testing and refined the design. We actually make a video for you in which we restate your role and we justify our decisions in terms of the problems and objectives for the site. And then the site goes into development. When the design is made, there's a sample blog page, a sample product page, a sample category page. Development is just where we make the things, where we make the site. We also make sure that it's fast, that it's accessible to as many people as possible, regardless of ability, and that it works on as many phones and computers and browsers as possible. And then we give you that site on a staging server. It's a private server that only you can access. You can see if the site's ready for launch, and if it is, it goes live. And that's our process. So, not to leave, I just want to go into a bit more detail about your role. We ask for problems because you understand the problems that exist within your organization and the implications of those problems in much more detail and depth than we ever will or anybody else will. And we know how to solve problems using digital and web technology. That's what we do. We don't just build websites, we don't just do SEO, we solve people's problems, we solve their business problems. And that's the very core of what we do. So, on occasion you will come to us with solutions. You'll say, can I have this on the website? Can I have a carousel? Can you move that from there to there? And because we know that you should be coming to us with problems, we talk that through with you. We don't just do it because you said to do it, but we'll talk it through with you. Sometimes it'll be a good idea, but we will ask why again, until we get to the root problem that you're trying to solve by doing these things. And very often there'll be a more elegant solution. And the reason also that we ask you for problems rather than solutions is because if we don't know what the problems are that we're trying to solve, we'd end up second guessing and perhaps solving problems that just don't exist for you and costing you a lot of money in the long run. The business objectives, always focus on the business objectives. If people are focusing on how much they like the look of the website, then personal preferences and opinions, when they creep into it like that there, it just leads to, well, a lot of different personal opinions and preferences for a start, coming from the client, not based on data, not based on how well the website works. But business websites are there for making money. That's all they're there for. If it's not a business, it's a non-profit, you run an informational website, then you're there to make sure that people donate, people find the information, people convert in some way, get in touch with you, even just through a contact form. But if you are deciding that your personal aesthetic preferences should govern how that website looks, rather than asking how does this website perform, it will affect the effectiveness of the website. And then the last thing, we're focusing on the business objectives. It means that 6 months down the line, you're not asking yourself, why is this website not working? What has gone wrong? I've seen it time and time again. People have said, I just want something that looks good. All that matters is it looks good. I don't care about any of that other stuff. Just makes, I've got a new logo, just make something that goes with that. And then 6 months down the line, we get a phone call. Why is my website not working? Why is nobody sending me emails through this website? Why is nobody phoning me? Well, the answer is because you're more concerned with how it looks, but it's still a very difficult conversation. And finally, advocate for users. Right back to that list that we agreed after the first stage of the kickoff meetings. What are the user objectives for this site? Try and do those things yourself at every stage, on the wireframes, on the prototype, on the staging server. But do remember that your users are a large and diverse group who have different computers, different phones, different bandwidth, different perceptions of the world than you do, and you have to embrace that. And finally, I think if you're looking at some work, instead of starting a sentence with I think, or when I'm using websites myself, still saying I think we should move on newsletter sign up to the header, say I wonder would more people subscribe if we move that newsletter sign up to the header. Let's test it. Okay. Always think of the users. So that's your road in a bit more detail. Why we insist that's how it works. So just to finally finish off, does anybody know who this guy is? This guy's called Frijan Selak. He's a Croatian music teacher, and he's been dubbed the luckiest man alive. He was in a train derailment where he fell into a river. 17 people drowned. He got out. He fell out of a plane. The door fell off the plane. He fell out, landed in the haystack, and blamed it on the crash, and then 2 people killed. He was in a bus that went into a river. 4 people drowned. He survived. He was teaching his son how to shoot when the gun went off, and he shot himself in the testicle. Well, at the time he was lucky because he didn't kill himself. And he was literally hit by a bus. He just got cuts and scratches. And he was driving a car down the road, swerved to avoid a truck coming the other way. The guardrail got thrown clear of his car because he wasn't wearing a seatbelt, and watched his car come about 300 feet down a cliff. And then he won €100,000, excuse me, from the lottery. So your website could be the Frijan Selak of web design. It could be the one where you just say, throw me a picture, if I like the look of it, that could happen. You could end up with a successful website by not caring about what you want the website to do, not caring about the problems you want to solve, not caring about your users. But if you do ever meet somebody who says that that's worked for them, or that they can do it for you, remember this one fact about Frijan Selak. That's probably all in balance. Okay, so just to finish off, re-emphasize this, and that's me done if anybody has any questions.
You mentioned Derek about not using car sales. Is there any specific preference or approach you take going forward? What is the idea first? Piece to have on it.
Yeah, just go through what is your main message, what do you want people to do, what do you want them to see, put that at the top.
Is it combination like images and text or text over images or what's?
Yeah, anything like that. It really depends on what comes out during the design. It could be a big image with text on it, but if it starts moving, then that's really bigger problems. There is no fold, by the way. There is no fold in the design. Everybody's screen size is different. There's no interest that it is, and everybody scrolls. 98% of people scrolls, so there is no fold. You don't need. The other thing about that is the phrase above the fold comes from the newspaper industry, where the broadsheet would be folded in half, and the editors would have to decide what goes above that fold. But they only ever chose one or two things. It wasn't. They never tried to cram 10 things in above the fold. You know, they chose the one or two most important things.
Do you think your better ones are very simple in content and very simple in navigation, where it makes it that you don't have that much to say?
Yeah, it is better to go for simple if you can, but if that's not possible, if you have a lot of content or your user flows are very, very complicated, just by the nature of your product or your service, then you find it's the most complicated way to go. Keep it simple, stupid is a cliche. Most cliches are true, but there's always the exceptions to the rule.
Longest process take,
That's 16 weeks.
moderate content.
The content, if there are readings and reads or there's content, then that's kind of like that extends the length of time it takes to get the website live, just by physically adding our content to the site.
So like user test learning for the site. It's launched, new site launched, once it's launched, going forward with the site.
Yeah, once you get a website built like this, you should never download your design. You should just evolve your website. Keep it all right. Going live is not some magic moment where everything stops. It's not. A design process is the best possible guess. Okay? But when your site goes live and you have thousands of users, then you have more data to work with. You have 15,000 people coming to your site, you can run A/B tests against how you can change a button. Simple things, you can change the button color from blue to green. And the more people click that button, then it stays green. It doesn't matter what the graphic designers say, it matters what the accountants say. So, and plenty of other ways as well. You can use your Google Analytics to segment your customers, segment your users, and you can eventually build up patterns of behavior. You can segment different users into different buckets, and then that allows you to tailor content for your users. You know that if somebody hits the drill section and then the screwdriver section, that they're probably going to want to buy a lawnmower. So you, whenever they hit the drills, then hit the screwdrivers, a pop-up or something for lawnmowers there in front of their face. So there's all that sort of work goes on afterwards. That's probably the next talk. Anything on Twitter? Okay. Well, the user testing video will show you there. We are running a raffle here today. So if you stick your business card and a donation into the box that Nav has, we're going to pull one in there that, and they're going to win a user testing session for the website. It's worth about £500, and all the proceeds are going to Coder Dojo. I'm delighted to have Matt Johnson here from Coder Dojo just to talk a bit about that. So, over to you, Matt.
Super. Slight version, I'm not actually from the foundation of Coder Dojo, but I've helped set up about 14 of across Northern Ireland. So, it's probably about 2 seconds before I get plugged in. First things first, how many people have heard of Coder Dojo? About half. Okay. And the first one, well, normally when I'm teaching kids and dealing with Coder Dojos, I have asked them this question. which is kind of confusing me. Are there any young people in the room? One, apparently. We do have a test for that, so I can test with one of those young people. So I just want everybody to tell me, make sure my volume is turned on. So none of that. Can you hear this sound?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay. What about this one? Everybody can hear that? Okay, this last one's kind of important. Yeah. Yep. What does it sound like? I've never heard that sound. No, and I got this a few years ago. What about this one here? Can anybody hear this sound? This is the under 30s. Yep. And last but not least, anybody hear that one? A lot of time when I'm in schools, there's kids that don't hear that last one. You know, like 14-year-olds, and I think it's because they put their iPods up too high or something. But that one there, this one here, really, really annoys me because I've never heard it. And nope. It could sound like anything. The next part when I'm dealing with kids is I'm kind of interested in how many of them have devices. How many of them have something that's, you know, beeping at them during the day. I mean, my daughter is still using a dumb phone, which if you know me, you would go, why the hell is your daughter using a dumb phone? And it's because she's not allowed to have a smartphone at all in school. She's allowed to just make telephone calls and text people, but all of her friends all have one. So I mean, it seems to be the trend that every child in the world has some sort of screen to be able to get information from. And I'm kind of interested in the beeps and whistles that come up during the presentation, so if you want, you can, you know. A little bit about me, very small text. I've done a heap of stuff, but that's, when I say I've done a heap of stuff, I've done a heap of stuff where people pay me to do it. I founded 4 companies, or 5 companies actually. This one is just about getting fined. It says unnamed revolutionary new thing. Okay, that's not the name of the company, but as soon as it is, I'll let you know. And I'm currently, I describe myself as a gadabout, which you can look up. What's much better? So I've done a huge work for Digital Circle over the last 8 years. And essentially, if you work in any of these industries or sort of peripheral industries, chances are you bump into me, I've talked to you, I've told you how to get a grant, I have scolded you for not trying hard enough or whatever. I've generally been awkward on it for like about 8 years. And okay, there's not that much grants around at the moment, but you know, I have faith that our government will collapse and all these things will return. The example being that we have, for example, did you know we have about 40 games companies in Northern Ireland? I mean, most people would go, I didn't know we had one. But in about 5 years, we went from like 1 to 40 because there's just a huge opportunity, especially with these app things that everybody has. Everybody is able to make a game. Everybody in this room could make a game. And did anybody play Flappy Bird? Anybody? No? Yeah. No? Okay. I didn't. I think I was the only person on earth who didn't play Flappy Bird. But I mean, Flappy Bird was about 3 days of programming. Well, not a particularly good programmer, and he made an awful lot of money. So I kind of think the games is kind of important. There's an awful lot you can learn about user design, interaction design, how to segment your markets and all the rest of it from games. But also games subsume every other industry. So it doesn't matter what industry you are in media, whether you're in web design to graphic design to film, if you're a documentary writer or you do sound design, there's something in the games industry for you. So I'm kind of keen to see lots of people doing this stuff. I mean, this is a game by Greg McGuire's company. Greg is a professor of animation, and this is a fairy game where you capture fairies and you tap on them and you draw little signs and they respond to you. So there's a bit of artificial intelligence in there. And I mean, the magic part of this is that the most powerful consumer in the world, a 13-year-old girl, was able to make me buy every single fairy. So I have no interest in fairies, but I own many. The point about all this digital stuff is that there are still some people out there that think the internet's a bit of a fad. I mean, my dad is an accountant, and he told me that when the computer arrived in the company he was working for, the entire accountancy department walked down the stairs, you know, looked at it and went, fills a room, it'll never go anywhere. which just shows why I've never paid any attention to the man. But there's a huge amount of opportunities here. And in Northern Ireland, we're only scratching the surface. We're not being brave enough. But this is all like a really big segue. That's my new idea that I'm going to do, but keep talking about that later. So anyway, a lot of the things you've heard today is a bit like this: drinking from the fire hose. That's a funny slide. You're going to laugh at that one. Kids love it, but it's these things here that I'm kind of talking about. So the first one is Coder Dojo. I say I've set up about help set up, instigate. I've generally been the person that people come to and say, I want to set up a Coder Dojo. How the hell do I do it? And so they've been set up in Banbridge, in Strabane, on the North Coast, 2 in Bangor, 3 or 4 Belfast. Has anybody been to one? No? Why not? Who has kids? There's no reason why you haven't. Well, depends how young they are. So Coder Dojo is mostly for sort of normally around 10 to 14-year-olds. We have some 18-year-olds that go, we have some 45-year-olds that go, you know, I mean, it's kind of, but it's about essentially democratizing the learning of programming, because ultimately, how many people here know how to code? How many people here are capable of coding? It's a much higher number, and you may not realize it, but it's a much, much higher number. And we're not actually producing anywhere near enough programmers to essentially feed the industry we have, never mind to feed the companies that we want. Similarly, Women Who Codes, anybody been to that? You should go. Is that a yes?
Yes.
You should go to that. I mean, if you're female and you have any interest in the tech industry, Women Who Code Belfast is awesome. And Cherie, who's obviously not here, but she works for Chaos during the day, and she has Women Who Code at night, and she's awesome too. So you should go and meet these people, because it's an awful lot of mutual support anyway in the industry. Code Club is for primary kids. We're in the teaching program. Has anybody been to Farsa Labs? No? One? Make an effort and actually introduce yourself to Farsa Labs. It's the only hackerspace we have. It's completely run as a charity, and it's full of really, really nice people who love nothing more than a tasty problem. And they will do their best to help anybody that walks in the door. And their associate membership is really, really cheap. It just helps keep it there. They have all the Raspberry Pi Jam as well. So any of you have heard of the Raspberry Pi? We'll get onto that. So this is an example of Dojo. This is a 3D Dojo that we set up in the University of Ulster. So at the time, this guy was 9, this girl was 11, and this boy here was 8. They're learning 3D modeling, and some of them have produced games and released them on the internet, because when you're 9, you think any of this stuff's difficult. They're intimidated by rules or laws or borders. And the rest of the guy who's actually teaching, who's not on screen there, was 16 at the time. I mean, they're just self-teaching. All the adults are doing essentially is just making sure they don't kill each other or prevent mistakes. I mean, this is another one. This is the 3D printer in Farsa Labs. So if anybody's interested in 3D printing, pop in Farsa Labs and have a look. But I should have changed that title. It's not just print your own plastic crap, it's the future of modern manufacturing. This is 2 young lads from Bangor Academy. They were 15 at the time. That's a Raspberry Pi Diesel Link, and that's an arcade machine that they built on 4 Fridays between 3:30 and 5 o'clock. They did a little bit of work outside that. They got minimal help from me because I didn't know anything. But they built this little arcade machine. Now that screen comes from a car reversing camera. The joysticks and whatnot were off of an old arcade machine. They built in their technology class the case, and then in the back of it is this, which is a Raspberry Pi, a breadboard, and they could have done it the easy way by using a USB joystick, but they chose to do it the really, really tricky, awkward, stupid way. And I love them for that. So they wired up all the switches in the joystick to make it work, just so they could play Pac-Man on a tiny screen. Which again is awesome. And this is the BrainSport Raspberry Pi, which is a 26-pound computer, which the latest version of the Pi 2, to be honest, if you've got any sort of child, niece, nephew, sort of from about 7 to 14, buy them one of these for Christmas. They're just awesome. Plug into a television and turn your television into a smart TV. But also there's other opportunities around. This was another sort of dojo type project that came out of a school, where they figured, every school has a laser cutter these days. It's come a long way from, remember, towers in that school. But every school these days has a laser cutter, so they were able to cut out different pieces of plastic and make a case for the Raspberry Pi, which the school then sold for $12.99 a piece. It's about 50p worth of plastic, and raised a huge amount of funds. And that all came out of essentially an after-school project. And that's just bits and pieces there. Again, I told 50p worth of plastic. And we also use Minecraft. You've heard of Minecraft? Anybody think opinions on it? Yeah. Every secondary school in Northern Ireland has licenses for every secondary school child has licenses for it. So the important thing that we use for this is on the Raspberry Pi, and we use essentially a programming environment so that the child only ever has to build this structure once, and then they get the code for it, and they're able to replicate the structure. This has two effects. First of all, a child then knows how to write a program in Python or Ruby or whatever language they've chosen. And the second effect is the child thinks you're an idiot because he never wants to make the same thing again. So why would that be important? But they learn programming anyway. And we've had a great start because it teaches them networking as well, as they can connect into each other's machines and destroy each other's buildings rather than trolling each other essentially. I would show you that, but that's a game that a 9-year-old made and published on the internet. So this is kind of the core message that I get to most of the Coding Dojo kids when we talk to them. That we want them to do something that is cool, fun, profitable, but it kind of extends to the rest of you guys as well. I'm planning on learning the harmonica this summer. And we point at these resources. So you've got the dojos, which you can do learning to program for free, for free. Code Academy, where you can learn to program for free. Khan Academy, learn to program for free. You get a theme here. There's all these different places where you can essentially learn to program. You just give them to somebody. If you have a niece or a nephew, or a son, or a daughter, or an uncle, or an idol brother, and all those, you can give them this and tell them to get started. Because I don't know, like most SMEs that I've dealt with, they don't care about the piece of paper you get from university. What they care about is whether or not you are passionate and whether or not you can actually do stuff. So there are companies not far from here that have hired 17-year-olds because they're passionate, and some of those 17-year-olds got their starts. So that's mostly all I have to say about that. What I would really like though is if you are in the industry, if you're in the professional services side of the industry, go into Coding Dojo as a mentor, or if you're flush with cash, a sponsor. But even just a mentor, because the most important part of the dojo is not actually the ability to program. And I'm evidence of this because I've been involved in dojos for the last 3 years, and I can write hello world in 17 languages. I can't write any more than that. I mean, I can maybe look at somebody else's code and debug it, but you don't need to be a programmer. What you mostly have to be is a sensible adult. You have to have a certain amount of Google food, if you know what I mean. So when they find a problem, you go, yes, I've seen that before. Reboot it. So they're desperate for mentors, every single dojo, and I say there's one in every corner of Northern Ireland, and if there isn't one in your corner of Northern Ireland, find a group of parents who want to make one. Banbridge one started because the guys in the library said, we'd like to do dojo stuff, can you help me find mentors? And I found them 3 amazing mentors. So if you want a dojo in your area and there isn't one, if you have a niece or a nephew that want to stop them from doing hard drugs, presume that's what 11-year-olds do these days. Get them involved in this, and then they'll never go outside again. So, do you have any questions?
What's the Minecraft? What is that, the 3D tool?
So, which one?
This
one?
Yeah, program.
So, that is Minecraft Pi Edition. So, Mojang, before they were bought by Microsoft, released a version of Minecraft written in C for the Raspberry Pi. So it's free, and on the Raspberry Pi 2, it runs really, really well. And it's a good, nice, cheap way of giving a child Minecraft Creative Edition on a big screen that isn't attached to the tablet, and gets them using the keyboard and mouse properly. And if you're really lucky and you're smart, you can get them actually programming the environment as well. There's heaps of tutorials out there. How to make clocks that animate, how to make gigantic rainbows appear in a second. And children appreciate when you're making a gigantic structure, because they look at it and they go, well, that would take an hour to build, and you just built it in a second. Programming is kind of useful. It enables me to be really, really lazy.
I mean, that's the Raspberry Pi 2.
Well, this is on a Pi 1, and just plugs into a TV using either an AV connector or an HDMI connector. You can power it off the USB port that's on the back of your LCD that you've never used. You've all got a USB port on the back of it, you've never used it. But you can power a Pi from that. Add in a Bluetooth transmitter, a Bluetooth keyboard, and you've just turned your TV into a relatively smart TV on it. And if you want to know more, you can email me and I'll answer any questions. So, any other questions? Are we having a whip round or something for Coder Dojo?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I've got a pocket of change, so. But really, we'd love more mentors. So if at all you want to get involved, we have normally great sponsorship from places like Tesco because they give children fresh fruit. And that's better than what we give them, which is generally Haribo and crisps. But if you're at all interested in doing some stuff with Coder Dojo at all, please get in touch. I'll put you in touch with the closest dojo to you and some amazing people. Okay? Thank you very much.
That's us for today. If any have any questions for Doug or Dave Matt on Coder Dojo, which looks to be a really great setup there for kids getting into coding. Sure, the guys are hanging about for 10-15 minutes here. Feel free to grab them. The box down at the back there beside where the pizzas are. If anyone wants to leave a donation for Dojo, leave in your business card or just sign any posted up there. As Doug said, we'll be doing a raffle to give away a user test on it that we've seen in the presentation there. Our next talk will be in September. No date yet confirmed, but the subject will be on social media. So if you haven't filled in the sheet, we'll have it set at the back foot anyway. Glad to be on this and keep up to date with everything that's happening with the tomorrow that presents.